Thank you so much for staying. We're about to start off with this interview right now, talking about resolving inter-party crisis. Before that, we want to take a look at what is really happening right now in Abuja, where you get to see the pro-AKPABIO protesters and, of course, the pro-Natasha protesters, going there to Abuja, exhibiting their feelings about what is really going on. Some are saying Natasha is being oppressed in the red chamber, and some are saying Natasha is accusing AKPABIO wrongly. It's all about sexual harassment. I will not be conducting this interview alone. I have Anoluwakbo Stevens with me, and she just reminded me of the Women's Week. Maybe that's the reason why this is just assuming this particular dimension. Well, I have a PDP political bigwig, Esosa Ewe, joining us virtually. Esosa, it's so good to have you join us in the studio.
Morning. Good morning, Brother Wilson. Good morning. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. And of course, we have an APC bigwig also joining us virtually, Collins Osagai. Collins, good morning.
Good morning, Wilson. Good morning, viewers all over Nigeria.
So, well, I want to allow you to have the first shot at this because this is a women's thing, Women's Week, Women's Month, and all that. So go ahead. You're waiting about the issue bothering Natasha and, of course, AKPABIO.
Okay, let me kickstart with Mr. Collins, if you can hear me. In your own view, what do you think?
Can I pick up?
Yes, hold on. What do you really think is going on with the
the lady in the studio.
Senator AKPABIO controversy we've seen over time? Because there has been allegations of marginalization and also discrimination. But what do you think is happening? Mr. Collins, are you there?
I can't.
Okay, Collins, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't hear the person talking.
All right, now for what she said, what do you feel about this kind of situation where you have accusation and counter-accusation? Natasha is saying that AKPABIO is sexually harassing. AKPABIO is saying, I have not done that in my life to any woman. What do you think is playing out here right now with the protests going on in Abuja?
I think what is playing out is that Madam Natasha, she's just trying to be overzealous, acting probably to know more than everybody. But in politics, it's not always like that. But I can assure you too that the same Madam Natasha, who is now claiming that she's been sexually harassed by the Senate President, she's not correct, and that won't be true. And even if it is true, why all this time she kept mute, or she kept muted? Because she was not even the only person that was asked to relocate from their seat or from her seat. Some other men were also relocated. Was the Senate President also harassing those men sexually? Now, time without number. A lot of persons that have been heading committees have often a time be changed. Depends. You can be chairman of finance committee today. Tomorrow they take you to another section to be chairman of the other committee, or even remove you as a chairman of a committee, depending on how you are functioning, and also depend on the report that are coming from the people you are dealing with as the committee you are a member of or chairing. There are some persons even in the hollow chambers that are not even in committees, probably because of inexperience or because the principal then feel otherwise. Those are things that come as a way of privilege. It's not by force. When we say privilege, it means in the house, some things can be assigned to others, but it's as a way of privilege. It is not compulsory that you must be AYZ. And now, he that must come to equity must come with clear.
Okay, now let me move over.
You are in your sixth marriage.
Right.
You are in your sixth marriage. That is a woman probably that feels she's a saint and she can't be approached. Now, we have saw a lot of videos and pictures she pasted even by herself where she was taking selfie with the Senate President sitting very close even using her hand to rub the Senate president. So all of this was just a game to like, oh, since he wants to do this, if I blackmail him and I say
All right,
he's
Mr.
trying
Collins.
to sexually harass me, and we have some
Okay, Mr. Collins, thank you so much.
from the
But let's
public
move over to...
no, if she was married to one man from Guinea and she had her kids there, she's still married there, then we check her upbringing, then she can have sympathy. For those who are trying to sympathize with her now, are those who probably does not like AKPABIO's face or the role AKPABIO have been playing, you know.
All right, thank you, Collins.
As the Senate President.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, now let's move over to our other guest, Mr. Esosa, if you can hear me. Do you have a similar view with what Collins has said, or you have something different you would love to share as well? And I'd also love you to react to how the Red Chamber is handling the situation. Do you think they are tolling, are they tolling in the right direction?
I hope she's not been harassed in the studio. We can't hear her at all.
You've got to be kidding me. She's not been harassed in the studio, please. Okay? She's not been harassed, but the question...
I hope the lady in the studio is safe.
She's very, very safe. She's very, very safe. But the question is, do you share the same view with Collins that she's not been harassed and all that?
Well, good morning once again. Good morning, Nigerians. I just feel the whole scenario could have been managed internally, and I strongly believe that at this time of in the life of our country, we should be discussing issues of development, infrastructure, security, and reforms, judicial reforms, and institutional reforms, and all that. But that we are now ravaged. The Nigeria's highest body is now ravaged with issues of sexual harassment. It's quite unfortunate, but I do strongly believe that the dramatis personae and the relevant agencies that are empowered, constitutionally empowered, to ensure that the truth of the matter, the fact and issue, is in the end brought to bear at doing their job, like the former Senate President had advised that all relevant agencies should be consulted and the current Senate President should also submit himself for investigation going by the allegations that have been leveled against him. You could recall that a few years ago when AKPABIO was the minister of the Niger Delta, a woman, I think the MD of the NDDC at that time, came out to also raise such allegations. That even it even spiraled into her claiming that she had to slap AKPABIO at that time. And also, issues of this should not be seen, our national leaders like AKPABIO should not be seen soaked in issues like this and all that. Because at this time, we should be discussing development. We should be discussing the laws of the Senate. We understand. They may also have to review their laws. Probably there are areas that are contentious and areas within the Senate laws that are not so very clear. And you know that Senator Natasha, being a first-time senator, she may also may not have a very clear understanding of certain areas within the law. And you know, she resumed 6 months after Senate had resumed and all that. But by and large, I think this issue could have been avoided. It couldn't have been settled indoor. It could have been resolved at the round table rather than making it a national embarrassment, even an international embarrassment that has cost the Nigeria's highest lawmaking body so much distress and all that. But I just strongly believe that the relevant agencies would do the needful so that we'll be able to get out of this without scars.
All right, it's okay. But briefly, what do you have to say about the protests that took place in Abuja because of this particular issue? We have a pro-Natasha and, of course, a pro-AKPABIO protesters coming out there to express their views.
It becomes an unnecessary political issues because at this time you have a pro-AKPABIO, you have a pro-Natasha, you have those who are calling for the resignation of the Senate President and all that. and you have those who are calling for Natasha to leave AKPABIO alone and all that. So I think the whole issue is now being politicized and all that. And if we had, like I said earlier, if we had deployed the internal conflict mechanisms and all that within the Senate, I don't think we would have gotten to this extent and all that. But it has become a national embarrassment. However, where a lot of things can still be put together to ensure that it does not spiral into unnecessary crisis and all that. Because yesterday you saw security agencies dispersing protesters within the National Assembly premises and all that. So issues like that should be played down on, and we should be discussing national issues, serious national issues. There are insecurity everywhere in the country. The Naira is collapsing. There are issues of on the development. There are issues of schools being closed because of fasting and all that. So these are issues, national issues, concerning issues that we should be discussing about rather than sexual harassment happening between the two adults in the house.
Thank you so much, Mr. Esosa. Now let me move over to Mr. Collins. So now in your own term and what you've observed so far from...
Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah, we can hear you, yeah.
Certainly I can hear you if you can hear me. Moving over to Mr.
I wonder why we can't hear the lady in the studio. I'm very concerned about her.
Oh my goodness.
She's just cool.
Well, moving over to Mr. Collins. Do you think the Red Chamber is actually handling the situation the way it should be handled?
Is she talking?
Yes, of course she's talking. She's like asking the question if the Red Chamber is handling the situation the way it ought to be handled.
Who is the question directed to?
To you, Collins.
Of course, please.
That was?
Do you think the Red Chamber is handling the situation the way it ought to have been handled?
I think Natasha should be suspended indefinitely from that house because she wanted to just ridicule the Senate. She doesn't have the integrity, she doesn't have the name to even talk about being sexually harassed. She just wanted to ridicule the Senate. And the Senate is too hollow to be so blackmailed by her. Even if she feels otherwise. She said first that AKPABIO was her husband's friend. They are very close. In short, the wife of AKPABIO and her were like best friends. So why did you meet AKPABIO's wife? If your intention was not to fool yourself. So she did what she did and tried to be holding the Senate president in his hand by saying, anytime you do this or if you want to do this, I will blackmail you. I will blackmail you. This is not the first time we have seen blackmail. You are an adult. If the Senate president, for example, make advances, probably he forgot that you are married because it may be your level of indecency. Then you can remind him, please, you know I'm a married.
Well, you hold on now. She is a serving senator, and you just can't be lambasting her on national TV this way, Collins. We take exception to that.
Just the way she has lambasted Nigeria at international and local.
But you have no right to do that.
I'm not lambasting. I'm just saying who she is, who we know, or what we have got to find out. Because I never knew she was in a sixth marriage. If not that, she now brought this issue of harassment.
Wow. All right. Well, I think we should
start with my own investigation.
Yeah. Whether sixth marriage, seventh marriage is our own opinion, it's our own way of life. So you don't have the right to say she's indecent. You don't have the right to use some words that are not palatable for a member of the Red Chamber. Please, Collins, let's be guarded.
Now, in a decent country, even before we allow people to represent us, truly, where we do total analysis, she would have since been analyzed if she was even fit to even be a legislature. How can somebody in her sixth marriage be what kind of?
I don't think marriage should be a criteria for someone to be in the public
6 men.
office.
So what? No.
Collins, is marriage a criteria for one to be in an office?
Really. You shouldn't bring her personal
in our constitution, is a marriage. The number of marriages, gotten involved with. Is that a criteria for picking on a leader or member of the Senate?
Now, in our constitution, has it ever been also spelled out for men to make advances on a woman And it is the right of the woman to say, no, I am married. So if AKPABIO want to become an issue, for example, as a claim, then ours too is an issue. Because you can't jump from table to parlor and assume that you are correct. Because all these are unnecessary distractions. But one thing is clear. The Committee on Ethics and Rules of the House met yesterday, and they have come up with something. And they said she intended to ridicule the leadership of the House. And by that they were going to give her the appropriate sanction. At the end, heaven will not fall. Even as she can choose and mobilize people to protest. We are all politicians. Other people too can also mobilize to protest 3 times of our home. That is just the truth. So if she feel doing this, we make her relevant or make her to become governor in Kogi State. No, that is not how you do it. There are ways you show maturity. Now let me also tell you, if she can be this loud, in politics there are what we call state what am I going to use? But I will come back to that.
All right.
There are what called national security being kept. Now, if at her level as a national leader, as a senator of the Federal Republic, does that mean the day she would get offended, those things that Nigerians have as a way of secrecy, that she's aware of, owing to her position, that is how she will open her mouth and say everything in one day.
All right, thank you, Collins.
You must have a reserve.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, Collins. Well, I know right now, I don't know if you have a question, so I can call it a wrap on this segment before going to resolving party internal crisis. Go ahead. Sosa is waiting.
Okay, so let me move over to Mr. Sosa. Hopefully you can hear me this time. Regarding everything that has happened thus far, do you think...
What's the question?
Right, do you think the Senate is going to move ahead with the punishment that might be melted on Senator Natasha? Because we also saw a ruling from a court saying they have actually removed all of the...
You should be relating it now. You know we are not here.
Okay, fine. You know, we're having some... All right, now, this is the question, because we're having some technical issues right now. The question is this. Do you think that the punishment that the Senate want to, unleash on Natasha, like what Collins said, that should be suspended indefinitely, despite the ruling of a court saying that that should not be done here? Do you think the Senate, if they do it, will they be in the right? And so, sir.
Well, the Senate has it. The Senate has its conflict resolution mechanisms, and they would have to deploy it in correcting officers within the House. So I do not know how much Collins know about Natasha's marriage, other than what he has heard on social media, on TV. And our Constitution does not say that one has to be married or unmarried for him or her to be able to attain a political office and all that. That aside, the Senate has its internal conflict resolution mechanisms, and all dramatists personnel would have to submit themselves for these mechanisms to be successfully deployed in correcting the issues. It's an issue that can be corrected, because this ought to be personal issues. These are not national issues. These are not issues of national security. They are not issues of infrastructure. They are not issues of development. These are personal issues that ought not to even find its way to the public domain and all that. But we're already here. So the Senate would now have to step forward, start to ensure that the issue is amicably resolved, so it does not skyrocket into other issues that are unnecessary, that are avoidable and all that. So the Senate would have to deploy its internal mechanism resolution to ensure that the issues are amicably resolved. That's my take.
All right, well, let's just leave it at that for now. No, let's just leave it at that, okay?
But I also just think people
Collins,
go to black market to take injunction after PPA. So
Collins,
that order can also be vacated.
Collins, that is an affront on the judiciary.
Both parties are in court.
That is an affront on the judiciary. You just can't say to go out there and black market injunction. You don't say that about the law. An injunction is an injunction, okay? Let's leave it at that, gentlemen. Now let's move straight down to another aspect of this particular discussion. Now let's dive into politics. All right? Party being able to handle issues, internal issues, because that seems to be lacking right now in our politics in Nigeria. You heard the case of Rivers State. You've seen also what transpired in Lagos State. And of course, you've seen what is going on in PDP. You also see what is going on in APC. And what happened also in Labour Party for the APC. Some big wigs, they were not present in their NEC meeting. And of course, the president gave a marching order saying, go bring back the agreed members of the APC. In PDP, we are seeing where they are having two secretary. One secretary say they're in support of A, the other one say in support of B. Why for Labour Party, you know the story too well. What is really going on? Let me start off with Esosa. Let's take a look at the party you belong to.
It was supposed to be my turn.
Not to worry, this is a fresh discussion, Collins. Will come to you. Esosa, go ahead.
Well, party issues are regular issues in political parties that that tend to strengthen parties the more, you know, and be able to give it a focus and all that. So when you are having internal crisis within political parties, it does not signify a total implosion or annihilation of that political party. It's only a misunderstanding within the political party, and if the organs that are charged with resolving those crises are alive to their responsibilities, I think it will only further strengthen the political party rather than implode that party or completely kill the party. On the issue of NEC meeting for the APC that you also, that was an emergency NEC meeting that I think it was two meetings they had. They had a caucus and they had I think NEC or something like that. Collins will be able to address that properly. But I think that was an emergency. You saw that meeting coming a few days after El-Rufai had given his interview and blasted the party for not holding its meetings as it is constitutional and all that. Then for the issue of Labour, I think Labour Party came on the back of Peter Obi's popularity and all that. So after that 2023 general election, I think the party lost focus. It lost direction, it lost leadership and all that. It lost flavor. And you could even see that a lot of people that climbed on the back of that wave at that time to get to political offices, they have all now found their way to different political parties and all that. The few that are still remaining there are just there to see what they can still pick before they can openly pull out of the party. So I think party internal issues are resolvable. They are there to help parties straighten up and strengthen up and have a better focus and be able to prepare for the next election. But beyond the next election, I think we should also look at reforms for our political parties, because when these old issues that we see at the national space may have started at the political party level without being resolved, and then they spiral into the national and become national issues and embarrass Nigeria and distract us from the course of good governance and all that. So there is need for political parties to reform its operationalities and all that. There is need to have internal democracy strengthened within the party. There is need to have that internal crisis resolution mechanism strengthened within the party so that all of this can be avoided even before it gets to the national stage.
Okay, moving over to Mr. Collins, if you can hear me, it's now begs the question, what we've seen so far happening in the country amongst the different political parties. What really is the role of the opposition party in the society right here in Nigeria?
Wilson, are you there?
Yeah, of course. We can hear you. He just asked a question, and that question is directed to Collins, saying the role of effective opposition, because it's like all political parties are having the same issues, right? So Collins, this question is for you. the role of effective opposition. But I discovered that why Esosa was giving his own analysis, he never mentioned the issue in the PDP. So Collins, take it up from these two angles.
Yes, thank you. First, the role of the opposition is supposed to be a serious one. A serious one in the sense that you have to be constructive. First, you have to genuinely put yourself together in order to be able to continue to aspire and win an election. Because if you do not have the United House, certainly cannot win an election. So the opposition first is to check whether the essence of government in power or the enemy in the government, and also it's crazy all the progress we made. So it makes it a constructive opposition. But unfortunately, what has come to us in Nigeria and it's a part of the world is that opposition sees themselves as an antagonist. And the best thing to do is to antagonize. Even when things are fair, they will tell you it's not fair. And based on that, the ordinary people begin to make their judgment that this is a blended argument. So they are all the same only. So that is why most times opposition will continue to remain as an opposition and even extremely more divided. Just like you talked about the issue that be happening in different parties. Yes, it is normal. You know, even brothers and sisters are one of the separate. There are times to have to try to also resolve it. But the sad thing in the present system is that PDP and Labour Party are so disorganized that they can't even put themselves together at any time at all. So don't check the history of PDP crisis of national for how many years now it has been like that. So Jonathan, as their president, was even there, as our president was there, as the leader of their party, that was actually when their division SPP started. And they could never put themselves together. So that probably means they didn't put that any time soon completely. Because at the level they are in now, I'm sure there are not very many today, and they may not be able to sustain, the party PDP. Like for example, even where he does not put PDP together, when he was a governor from former governor, for example, with all the days of being a governor, with all the normal authorities that used to bring all his friends together. Instead, he would have to personalize the party by bringing only one party to government and telling the other party you can't do anything. So at this point where there is nothing to share, you don't even expect us to now come and say this is how we want to be united. When there was something to be, when there was something to share, to do us away, now that there is nothing to share, you are not telling us to come and refute party. So I think for that, they will continue to live as a personal people in a low and national because we now. Because nothing to share also, nothing to share downstairs. That is why even when the court says this one cannot be there, we say I will be there. Nobody who have the finance to even mobilize and people to the other person. So for Labour Party, you know that almost everybody in Labour Party are come. Even their candidates are moving from one place to another, looking for an alternative platform. That alone has weakened the Labour Party more. Because when who claims to be the leader is checking and jumping from alternative alignment and alliance. So even the other man there will be very weak and will not have interest. And two, he was unable to even give account of all the money they gathered for him for the last presidential election that actually now started their fight. When some said that only the candidate shared the candidate could not explain how they expected the money. He said yes, the money was meant for him. So you would realize that money have always been the issue most time. But for FPC, for example, by the grace of God, you can see that they have been a way, even as an opposition, they have been able to manage crisis. Even when you have some few people who may have anything, sometimes they become just busy, sometimes they don't become, to challenge authority, and truly, it will also help to got them to order. Like we talked about the next, for example. Next meeting was supposed to have led probably, and it didn't want to plan. So far, even though can you hear me? Did you see it?
Sure. We can hear you. We can hear you, Collins. All right, we're having some interference right now. All right, now, thank you so much, Collins. Okay, let's move straight down to Esosa Ewe. Esosa, can you hear me?
There are interferences.
Okay. Okay. Well, as it sounds right, if you can hear me now, this question is for you. From what Collins said, he said the APC will be able to manage their own issue when you compare it to the PDP. That the PDP and of course Labour Party, they don't have effective working, conflict resolution mechanism. What do you have to say about this quickly before we move on to Abuja, to Lagos Center?
What are they managing? Are you not aware of the crisis in Lagos? That is an APC state. Even the president is from Lagos. There are interferences. I don't know why. I think it's coming in from Lagos.
PD, please take care of this. I think you should take off this Lagos causing interference right now. Esther, please go on.
So you have issues. You have issues across states governed by the APC. Here in Edo, we have issues of a governor that has dismantled a local government autonomy that was ruled in favor of last year, and that has caused so much hardship for the local government workers and all that. In Lagos, you have issues. In Edo, you have issues. In Rivers, you can see what's going on there. A party has become a war zone where issues of national development takes the back seat, and issues of lawlessness, violence, and all that takes the front seat. So there is nothing beautiful or spectacular about the party, other than wanting to grab power by all means available. But I thought we would have grown beyond that kind of a draconic political display of lawlessness and violence just to gain power. Apart from gaining power, by the time these guys gain power, they are not able to deliver on their promises and all that. Look at the home front here in Edo. You can see what's happening. Only yesterday we saw that the issues of kidnapping and killings have taken over the several areas in Edo. Land grabbing is back across communities and all that. You can see the death, may so rest in peace, of this guy that has just been killed and all that. So you can see different issues raging and embarrassing us and all that. So of what need and what spectacular policy does this government has for Edo people, considering where we are coming from? So I think the party would have to go back and reorganize itself. It is a different thing to be in power. It is another thing to be able to deliver on promises and all that. Promises of development, promises of infrastructure, promises of socio-economic development and all that, other than just being in power and gallivant around town and as this or as that. So the party is nothing. There is nothing spectacular about the party. There is nothing attractive about the party. And I do strongly believe that as 2027 approaches, Nigerians will be able to decide between good and bad. And from what we have now, is certainly bad times for Nigerians. And I think they will be able to take their decisions in another 2 years from now, at the state levels and even at the national level.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen. I know you have so much to say. I know, Collins, you want to rebel right now. I have to hand over to our other network center. We'll make other time for us to really deliberate more on this particular discussion.